What is up, my Lorcana Goons, and welcome back to the Lorcana Goons channel. You're watching the Friday weekly market watch where we talk about Lorcana news, meta trends, and card prices. Today is the official launch of Azurite Sea, and we got hit with some crazy news this morning. Check this out, everybody. We're here with Zach Stone, by the way. Huge shout out, Zach Stone. We got the pricing announced for the Continentals tournament for Europe, and I imagine it's going to be the same pricing for North America. Look at this, Zach Stone. For participation, we get an Enchanted invited to the ball. Top 32 is getting an Enchanted exclusive alt art Elsa's Ice Palace. And then we have the new Enchanted Cusco new alt art. That's crazy for top 16. You get a new Baymax mat and a case of Azurite Sea, which is pretty wild. And then top 8 nets you this beautiful Baymax Enchanted with your trip to the World Tournament. That's the dream right there. Followed by top 4 Golden Mickey. In the finals, you get a full set of Azurite Sea, and then the winner gets 3 full sets of Azurite Sea. That's so much prizing for the Continental Tournament. I'm super hyped, super excited. If you didn't know, I get to play as a competitor in the event. I'm super excited. And there's going to be last chance qualifiers too. Zach, how are you doing this Friday? How are you feeling?
Well, the announcement with this is very, very thrilling. You know, the North American Championships has not been announced as far as pricing information, LCQs, and all that. So we're still waiting and anticipating that. But these are bangers, and I can expect to be almost similar, if not the same pricing. The Baymax artwork is so cool, and we were asking for this to be the set championship promo. I could see why they waited for this one.
Yeah, the fact that it's only for top 8 is truly the dream right there. Because I love Baymax. If you guys didn't know, my first tattoo ever was a Baymax tattoo. And that's just to see this as a top cut prize. Like, that's my motivation, man. That's what we're here for. Super excited. Can't wait for the Continentals tournament. European Continentals is in December. I think it's December 8th. It's like right around the corner in a couple weeks. And then the North American one is not till January. And we're all playing this Azurite Sea format, which just kicked off today. So now the prices are officially live, my goons. This is the Market Watch. Where now we got to talk about the meta trends and the card prices too. If you want some sealed product, the boxes are as cheap as around 110 to 120, depending on where you're finding them. Troves are going to be around $50. The same thing with the gift set this time around, because the gift sets come with a little binder, right, Zach Stone?
Yes, they come with a binder, and of course the 2 cards. I believe the cards you're getting are the Stitch and
It might just be one
no,
card.
just the Stitch.
Yeah, I think it's just one card.
Yeah, it's just one Stitch. It's one pocket, one Alien Buccaneer, and 4 packs. So this is a newer accessory coming in from the gift set. We've seen them be different almost every time. I like this. However, I haven't seen a lot of people have interest in it. I currently have some available at my booth in Frankenstein's, and shout outs to anybody that come to the booth from hearing this on the channel. I really appreciate that. The gift set, however, is a nice little thing to give somebody. We have the holiday seasons coming up, but $52 is, I think, a little bit egregious. I'm not too sure what the MSRP might be on these. It might be $49.99 or $44.99. We'll see. But yeah, you can get some of these at some local game stores, and make sure to check out the ones in your area.
Definitely check the local game stores. And if you're going to be in the Carlsbad/San Diego County area, I'm going to have Azurite Sea at our booth in Ninja Exchange. And look, I opened up one of my troves, and I just want to mention that the trove this time around is lovely. Check out these cool dividers that you get in the trove too. By the way, they have the characters on them this time, which is really nice. I got this Baymax one right in the front because I'm going to use that probably with me. And I even pulled an Enchanted rare. Shout out Zach Stone for getting me the troves. And every time Zach picks out the troves for me, he always hooks it up with an Enchanted rare. I don't know how he does it. But look at the lore counter for this one. This trove comes with a little Stitch lore counter, and it looks, the little slider has like a little wood type finish. It's wonderful. Super excited for the set. Can't wait to see what's going to be meta, what's going to be the chase cards. It's looking like Tiana is the highest listed Enchanted rare. Not a lot of sales to really go off of just yet, because there's no sales on TCG Player for these, and we checked 130 point. There's only a few Enchanted sales, but this is the highest listed Enchanted. We have Tiana, the restaurant owner. It's a lovely Enchanted. She's a princess as well. Super hyped for Tiana to finally get an Enchanted because I feel like I've been waiting for this since the Rise of the Floodborn set. And to be honest, I wanted to see her as a prize card too. So more princess prize cards, please. Basil, pretty expensive, high listed, $240 for this one. These are going to be around, yeah, no, lowest verified is Bill Guns Gaming right there, 242 for your Enchanted Basil, which is probably going to be making waves this format. Baymax is actually the second highest listed. This Enchanted I think is pretty popular, right? I think a lot of people want this one, myself included. Lowest verified is going to be same guy, Bill Guns Gaming for 260. So shout out you for having the lowest price today. Zach, do you have any Enchanted you're chasing after?
I'm really much a huge fan of that Daisy Duck. I think that card is really good. I like the artwork on it a lot. However, the one you just put up right now, the Sugar Rush Speedway, I like that it's like texture. I haven't seen any in person, but I feel like some of the artwork has a little bit of texture on like that lettering for this one. I may be wrong, but this card is also just a very good card. However, the price that it's at right now, and a lot of these prices that we're looking at, we believe will come down. So if you guys are listening and you guys are thinking about pulling the trigger on some of these Enchanteds today, I would definitely hold off and wait just a little bit longer. They're definitely something to keep in mind and keep our eyes on. Some of these prices are a little bit higher in comparison. And again, Bill Guns Gaming today got our lowest priced Enchanteds. So just shout outs to you for just making sure you guys have them available when they release for those that are interested in pulling that early trigger. The next one we're going to be talking about is that Wreck-It Ralph Enchanted. And this one's a little bit interesting because we have a actual confirmed sale for this Wreck-It Ralph at $226. So somebody did pull the trigger, you know? It can happen.
Oh yeah. So if you do have these, these are just the listing prices for these. If you, it's kind of hard to like I guess tell what they're really gonna go for. And on the day of launch, right? Because a lot of it does have to do also with like meta. Like I'm over here thinking like Sugar Rush it might come down over the weekend, but in general, you probably might want to play for Sugar Rush in your location Ruby Amber deck, right? So that's why I'm kind of like, oh, maybe that's one to consider if it drops under $100. But if you're gonna see some more confirmed sales, we have some here for you. You came back Enchanted selling for $110. The Maleficent Staff Enchanted also selling for $110. We have a Baymax confirmed sale selling for $240. The lowest listing right there was $250, I believe, so it's not too far off right there. $260, okay, so not too far off, so around $240 is what you could probably ask for. The Speedway Enchanted selling for $100, so maybe you want to respect that recent comp. 130 Point is a website we're using here if you want to look at like recent sales data for certain cards, especially right now that it's fresh, so you can use eBay as well to kind of check and compare prices if you want to buy someone's Enchanted, like their Raya Enchanted selling for $100 as well, and another one selling for 114 in bids. So not too shabby. Some Enchanted movement already on the first couple hours of the Azurite Seed launch. But what about the meta cards, Zach? What do you think is going to be popping? What's selling? Maui Shark seems to be the most expensive Enchanted rather you can pull from the set as of right now, selling for as expensive as $27.30 by Bill Guns Gaming. Again, shout out you having lowest verified. After that, it's Four Horsemen, less than $30 already, and the pre-orders for these were like $45 if I'm not mistaken. Oh, last night, when the prices launched, they were definitely selling for around $30, a little bit more than 29, even as we can see here, 35, $32 on the 14th. But yeah, Maui Shark definitely gonna make waves in the meta. But again, like a lot of the prices for the cards just tend to come down as the weeks go on, especially when the big box retail launches, right?
Definitely, there's going to be a lot more singles and a lot more product out there in the next couple of weeks. But we do have a Disneyland Parks and LGS release going on today, so you can start playing with these cards if you get some. I think this Maui Shark is going to go down. I'm not too keen on this card being played in a lot of Ruby decks. We'll see play in like some Ruby Sapphire builds. It will see play in some Ruby Am builds. However, I'm not keen on this card actually being as good as people can predict. And the next card that I think is not going to be as good as people predict is the new Shift Simba. In some testings, you know, I can't say for Amber Steel at least, but there might be some decks where this card shines, and the ability is still strong, so I'm going to respect that. However, the price point is something I'm going to talk about today, and I don't think it's going to be as cheap as it can be. I think that this card is a maybe $15, $14 legendary in the future. $25 again is just a higher price point, but I know it has some confirmed sales today.
Cold foil Simbas are going to be as expensive as $40 right now. So if you want to buy your cold foils, you can get them for $40, but it will take a while for them to land at your doorstep if you order them online. And by that point, maybe the prices might be different, like Zach Stone was just talking about. And I can see prices for a lot of these cards coming down the same way we saw like prices for Mufasa come down last format. You know, a lot of uninkable cards tend to do that. Even the inkable cards, depending on how popular they really are in the meta. Cold foil Maui Sharks are also selling for $40, lowest verified, and then next up, that's plus one games, by the way. After that, $45 by ENT Collectibles. So 40 is the cheapest right now. And Oswald going to be selling today for $17. We have Great Value Games for $17.80. Then Bill Guns Gaming for $17.82. They have 10 of them for you. Wow. So you can actually get all of them from the same seller right there. Very convenient. And cold foil Oswald selling for around $27.50. That's going to be by Underdog Collectibles today. Oswald probably going to be pretty popular in the beginning of the format. We really want to see what Sapphire does with that card. John Silverstern, captain. Oof, this one lowest verified listing is by Bill Guns again. $19.80, almost $20. And we have like a couple sales for 24.60. So that's kind of high in my opinion. I don't see this card being super popular in the meta. If anything, I feel like this is going to be one of those legendaries that's people pull and it kind of stays in their binder for a while, right, Zach?
Yeah, this card might not see a lot of play, unfortunately. However, the John Silver and Treasure Planet character archetype is popular, and I believe that this card has a little bit of collectability. So you guys can hold off on getting your copies of John Silver. In my opinion, the card is not as good, and the $25 cold foil price tag, I believe, will also go down in price.
Yeah, I can see
The
that.
next card we're going to talk about is a Genie, Wonderful Trickster. Now, it's $18, which I think is crazy because I think anytime we've tried this card, it just hasn't worked for us, right, Kevin?
Yeah, for us it hasn't worked. Maybe you have some like secret spies, but I don't see it.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's going to be staying in the same price range. Cold foils today are going to be at $25, and we're noticing that it's almost going to be kind of stagnant for a while. You're going to see people compete to try to make the next sale. You're already noticing this right now, and this is only early in the morning on Friday here, so we're just getting started. And I think as the day goes, we're going to see a lot of prices alternate. So if you're watching this, guys, and you're still thinking about pulling these triggers, this is a good reference point to see where prices were and where prices may be in your time of buying.
Yeah, we do these every Monday and Friday. So by Monday, we're definitely going to see where these prices really went, right? Yzmas today are selling for $16 if you want to buy them right now. Hilltop TCGs, and then 17 is the next one after that by Bill Guns Gaming. So like Zach was saying, there's already people kind of lowering their prices because this was selling for a little bit more yesterday. $18, $19.99 for two of them right there on the 15th. So less than $20 for your Yzmas. Cold foils are pretty expensive for that. Bill Guns Gaming's $37 for a cold foil Yzma. The Baymaxes also selling for more than $15 today. Bill Guns Gaming, lowest verified. They got 9 of them for you right there. We'll see where that is on Monday. And yeah, all the cold foil legendaries just kind of have a static price of like $35 to $40 right now until people decide what they want, right? Except for this one, Wreck-It Ham Hands is super cheap. And I think this card's actually relevant. Like you could play it in certain decks. Now, is it going to be more than like $5? Probably not. I don't see people really like paying like a bunch of in their decks like the way like on a Diplomatic Queen was. Like even when it went up in price, like you only played one or two and it stayed at like $10. So lowest verified for the Wreck-It Ralph Ham Hands is $4.41 by Cafe Gaming. After that, Red Panda has it for $6.38 shipping included. And they've been selling pretty well at that price. See the cold foils today. Cold foils are $15 today. SLG LLC $14.97 for your lowest verified cold foil Wreck-It Ralph Ham Hands. And here's another card. These next two cards are basically the Gonsus of the set. The lowest verified for your Hercules Baby Demigod is going to be $2.80 by Bill Guns Gaming, and they have 17 of them for you. So
Oh.
that price is not budging anytime soon. And cold foils are $14.83. But why would you want to buy a cold foil for this card? It's borderline unplayable. Not my favorite. Kind of does nothing. And then Hades, we have a new Hades, the Strong Arm, a 5-cost uninkable, also pretty terrible in my opinion. opinion. Four Horsemen has the lowest verified for 195 with $1.27 shipping. Wow, that is super cheap. I feel bad if anybody pre-ordered this card. But yeah, pretty inexpensive. And it's a legendary. It's the Gantu of the set, right?
Yeah, this is like the Gontu and Taka, and unfortunately, we don't believe that these cards are going to be playable anytime soon. The only hope is that like the Hercules decks get a lot of like power, maybe to reduce the cost of your Hercules in some way. Do think that the stats aren't the worst on it. However, this Hades, I'm shocked it's a legendary, but I think they didn't want to make it as top heavy as other sets have been. They've kind of spread out some of the playability between a lot of different rarities this time. I think in the first chapter we noticed a lot of legendaries that were super playable and heavy out the gate, and they didn't kind of want to repeat as time's gone on. Tiana Restaurant Owner is just a $10.25 card with the shipping, of course, by Hilltop TCG Singles. And this is a card that I've seen some people play in some Amber Steel aggro decks, as well as like the peanut butter jelly decks, the all character Mufasa decks. It's a nice card because yes, if Mufasa does hit this, it does make the other characters challenge, gonna make them weaker unless they pay 3 ink, and it does come into play exerted, and I do like that a lot. Cold foils are going to be $28.22. And keep in mind that this has an enchanted version, so people that are going to max out their decks are going to get the enchanted versions of her.
Kind of how like Sisu, the empowered sibling was like that too. There was an enchanted version, so the cold foil, even when it was super duper popular, it wasn't like super expensive. But this is a good card. I'm surprised that this legendary is still this cheap when some of the other ones are that expensive, because I feel like this card is actually playable compared to some of the other ones. But I like that you said that about the legendaries of this set, Zach. That I felt like the first chapter legendaries, a lot of them were good, and but for this set, like now that we've gone through most, if not all, of these legendaries, there's only like two or three that really stand out to me as like potential like consistent meta cards, and that does worry me a little bit, because that just tells me that if I pull some legendaries, I want to get rid of them immediately. Because when I've been going through the cards today that we're going to talk about, I feel like most of the cards that are good are just not legendaries. If anything, most of the cards that are really good in this set are commons and uncommons and stuff like that. So we'll get into that. Last legendary real quick, we have the Jasmine over here, a Royal Commodore. It's going to be a $8 card today, selling by Bill Guns Gaming again. They have 14 of them for you, so that price is going to stick around. And I'm pretty sure the cold foils are that $40 price still. $20 actually. Wow, not bad. Okay, Quibbles TCG lowest verified 1980 for your Jasmine Royal Commodore. It's a good card. I've seen a lot of people play it. I don't like that her ability only happens on shift though. That's my main issue with it. But enough about the legendaries. Here's some non-legendary cards that I was talking about that really are the cards that I think are gonna be shaping the meta, like Bend to My Will, which will discard your entire hand. These are selling for $5 each today. Lowest verified. Underdog Collectibles this is a super rare from the set. Cold foils are $15. Zach, do you think Bend to My Will? I mean, I can't wait till I bend to my will somebody. I'm gonna say that first. Do you think this is gonna be like meta relevant though?
So the card will see some play in like the blue green discard decks because you could ramp up very quickly. Don't forget there are some cards like Starlight Veil and the Iago, the Flamingo camouflage one, that can reduce the cost of some actions, and there are Emerald cards as well. However, that this card doesn't scare me too much. And I come from an Ember Steel perspective, so Pete's and Bare Necessities can help me avoid this card really from doing anything. Also, if I discard my whole hand and I draw a whole new world, what good is that going to do for them? Not too much. So this card will see play, but remember, uninkable cards are very risky and greedy because you're having to force the card to be played, and Sapphire does have the ability to ink some ininkables like Tipo and Fishbone Quill. So I could see this card definitely be played in those decks, but Emerald Steel will avoid it for sure. And a card that won't be avoided in my deck is Lilo Escape Artist, because she's going to try and get away, but she'll come back every time. And this card has been great in testing. Honestly, I was playing yesterday with some Azurite cards, and I whole new world had discarded a Lilo, and it felt so good because it just like it doesn't really feel like I'm discarding a real card. Like, I'm not losing any advantage. Bringing back more than one in a turn is absolutely insane against anything but that isn't steel. And to even put it in more perspective, like it's just a good way to be as aggressive as possible in this deck. So prices today are at $7. We got Underdog Collectibles. Next one, Arcana Cards, has 10 copies. So if you're looking to pick up a playset, consider always buying from those sellers that have more than one at a time. Cold foils are looking like they're almost $20 today, and I like where this price is. I'm a little shocked that it's not a more like around $10-ish. So 7 out the gate isn't bad, and I'm kind of curious to see where it's going to go in the future.
Yeah, because Daisy was like super hyped at like $20, $25 almost. But I think really the thing is that like we don't know what decks people are gonna play Lilo in. Obviously, you and I knows that because we're some Lorcana goons and we play this game way too much. But I think some people who are just they're barely getting introduced to the new set, the new format. Maybe they're not committing to the Lilo package just yet. But some other key cards that you're gonna want for your strategies that are gonna be coming out today that are prices are moving. The Sugar Rush finish line location selling for $3.79 with that extra shipping cost, so about almost $5 is what you can value these out today. Cold foils are pretty expensive, $11.29 by Bill Guns Gaming. Pretty cool to see. So this is like a $12 almost cold foil and a $5 non-foil. Then it has the Enchanted rare like we were talking about, but I do think this is an important card. I think the red yellow deck is going to be really relevant this format. And this is like one of the key strategies in it. And I'm pretty sure you play 4 of them in that deck. Like I don't see why you would not want to play 4 of this card in that deck. But a lot of the cold foil prices you'll see today are kind of expensive too. I think some of the cold foils are getting pretty hyped up. I think a lot of us know we want to play already, which is cool. And some non-foil prices are also a little expensive, and these might come down too. So like Calhoun Marine Sergeant, this is a rare from the set today. They're selling for $264 plus that extra dollar shipping price, so it's about $3 to $4 if you want to order some Calhouns today. And cold foils are kind of expensive, $11.40 by Journey End Games for your cold foil Calhouns. And everybody smartened up this time around. Most people only list one, except for Haven Tabletop. Shout out you, they got 4 of them for you right there. $12.49 though if you want your playset of Calhouns each. Same thing with the non foils. Very few, actually, just a lot of right now. There's a lot of sellers that have multiple of the same card that you can buy from them, so it's a little easier to save money on shipping. For example, the Crafty Collectors, they only have one, 264 with that extra 127 shipping. But if you scroll down right here, A plus cards, they have 23 of them, so you can get 19 or 4, because you're a normal human, you want 4 for a playset. And you can get all 4 of them from this one seller. It's 30 cents more per copy, basically, but you don't pay any extra shipping from having to get like one from each different seller. And this person does free shipping with over $5, so that's kind of a deal, right?
Definitely. I don't think it's a card that will be played in a lot of steel decks, maybe Amethyst Steel. It has a decent ability. It's like a little Robin Hood when you're able to challenge anything. The key thing is that yeah, it has the resist, and it is uninkable, so you're forced to kind of play it. And I don't know how many copies will fit into decks like this.
I can see that. And being uninkable does have that drawback. You can only fit a limited amount of copies of cards that are uninkable in your deck because you want to be able to ink most of the time. But this is an inkable card. You won't have that issue with Goofy Expert Shipwright selling today for $2.25 with that extra $1.20 shipping, $1.27 shipping, so about $3. Bill Guns Gaming, they have a bunch of them for you ready to go. These are probably also going to end up dropping to about $1 or so in the next couple weeks, but cold foils are still pretty cheap today. If you want your cold foils, plenty of people have play sets like Never Grow Up right here for $6.99, Bill Guns $6.93, so about $7 each for your cold foil goofies today over the weekend. A Genie Wish Fulfilled. This is a very popular one. I see a lot of people wanting to play this Genie, and for good reason. It's an evasive character. It outs Diablo. It quests for 2. Draws a card on play. It is uninkable, so that's kind of an issue. These are selling for $171 with $1.27 shipping, so about $2 with that extra shipping cost, maybe $3 depending on where you're getting them from. But cold foils are popping, Zach Stone. $12 is the lowest verified by Mystify Games, $11.92 with $1.27 shipping. Then it jumps to $17 by Big Mom Empire, then $18 from Journey End Games, then $23 by J&L Games. There's only 6 listings left, and they're jumping around for this Genie Wish Fulfilled. I don't know if you should pay $20 for this cold foil. Again, over the weekend is going to be way more listings because people are cracking packs, they're opening troves, they're opening booster boxes. So expect more listings because most of these listings are from people that probably got their stuff early, like an LGS or something like that. But great card. Is it going to be $20 cold foil? Probably not. $10 foil. I can see that depending on how many are played in the meta. Do you like this card, Zach?
I'm indifferent. I think that this card is good, but it's not like auto include four of in your deck right away. 1 to 3 copies seems to be what I've been tinkering with, and I can see myself wanting to commit to that. The only thing is that you get to shift that new legendary genie on top of this one on curve, which is kind of cool if you're playing the purple strategy. I think that's where the genie has seen some play in, if I remember correctly. The evasive clause is again very important, and it quests for 2. You can't really disrespect anything that quests for 2 nowadays. Go Tamago, the Darting Dynamo, is a $8 cold foil that comes in the starter deck. So keep
Broken.
in mind, everyone, you get one when you purchase the starter deck. The starter deck comes with a pack, which is valued around $5. There you have $12 in value. Keep that in mind. It's just like the Elsa from the previous one, and I'm really liking the ability here because some green steel decks are just splashing 2 to 4 copies of this card in their deck. Seen it in some green purple decks, which I'm quite interested in, but it is an evasive 2 cost, which answers Diablo, and I can see this card actually being like very toxic as the meta shapes up.
Yeah, I've seen people like say like, oh, imagine your opponent makes a Maui clear, and then you play this and you gain 4 lore for free. And in some Emerald decks, decks that are very pretty aggressive, that little burst of lore, it will make or break the game. And it's kind of hard to read also. You just probably waste to play around this card if you think your opponent has the go in their hand, but like sometimes you just got to make those value trades and hope they don't have it. And like you said, it is evasive. Out to Diablo, very splashable in decks, and the fact that it's a starter deck card makes it really cool. The starter decks are what, like $15 maybe at your LGS. So if you buy a starter deck, it comes with all the cards from the starter deck, this go and a free pack. So I feel like that's some good value right there, right?
Definitely is some good value. I think right now it's a interesting time when new sets drop and there's like a 2 week period between the big box release and then this time's release. So I'm interested to see where this card is actually going to end up because the Elsa stayed pretty expensive for a very long time.
Yeah, I want to say it stayed expensive until just like after the last DLC, and I think it's because like if you wanted to play the Elsa, like because the Elsa was so relevant in the meta, if you wanted to play it, you either had to get it from the foil or you pulled it and stuff. But like, why not just play the foil from the starter deck? It's cheaper to just buy a starter deck. But here is a card I really want to talk about today: Diablo Obedient Raven. I was looking at these cards last night, by the way, guys. And this card has no foil printings. All the cold foils sold out, or they're all gone. So on TCG Player, we don't have any cold foil listings for this Diablo, and they're only non-foils, and they're gonna start at like 60, 70 cents, 85 cents. There's Journey End games, they have 30 of them for you ready to go. Pretty interesting. I was able to snag like 1 or 2 cold foils last night for like $3, $4, and all the listings after that were like $5, $6, right? So I was kind of like, maybe I don't want to buy them for that expensive, but people were buying them for that expensive: $6, 350, 575, and now there's none. So I think a lot of it is people not knowing like where like how popular this card is going to be. I think this is on its way to be as popular as like Tipo or Peak Games, for example. Those cold foils are very much close to $10. And same thing with this one, Sail to the Azurite Sea. This one's already almost $7. Was verified as Game and Company, $6 with $3 shipping, so that's $9 basically. And there's only 2 listings right now. After that, Alpha Strikes Game is going to be $5.83 with $5 shipping. They have 2 of them for you, so that's about $10. So Sail the Azurite Sea, gonna be pretty popular cold foil. Makes all your Sapphire decks just a little bit more consistent, I think, because you get to draw and ink twice that turn. Not too shabby of a card. Pretty interesting that there's not any cold foils left for this card, huh?
Yeah, this is the best card in the set, hands down, and it's a common, which is crazy. So,
Really?
like I
Okay,
said, they didn't want to make anything top heavy that
that's what I
was
was
like
saying.
insanely broken or insanely playable. Like, no, they are making sure people can play the good cards and not have to buy an egregious amount of packs or pay more money than they originally thought. And I like that. But these cold foils, man, oh, it's making me Oh, it's making it harder and harder for me to want to stay a cold foil player. I'll be honest right now. It's
Cold foils,
I'd like
yeah.
I'd like
Cold
to see these prices go down right now for sure.
Cold foils in Lorcana are really hard to pull. Like it's hard to pull good cold foils, man. And I feel like if anything, I'm surprised a lot of the cold foils aren't more expensive because like let's take a card like Brawl for example. I feel like you play 4 Brawl in like every Ruby deck automatically. I don't remember the last time I pulled a foil Brawl. It's a common, by the way, you know, and then it only sells for like $3 or $4, maybe $5 on a good day. But it's so hard to pull good gold foils in Lorcana. But yeah, like I was saying, man, it feels like the best cards in this set are commons and uncommons and rares, you know, and maybe a super rare. But for the most part, the legendaries, they're a little lackluster. They're a little, you know, at least right now for me, you know. So that's why I'm definitely gonna wait before I go out of my way to like pick up any cards for like my deck, especially because I'm playing Ruby M, and I feel like all I'm adding is these Diablos, you know. And if I'm playing my green blue deck, all I'm adding is this Sail the Azurite Sea and this Basil. And they made this Basil uncommon too. This Basil could have been a legendary. This would have been a super expensive legendary, but they said, nah, you know what? We're just gonna give everybody access to be able to pay 1 extra ink every time you ink to discard a card because we know Lorcana is nice like that. And these cold foils are selling for around $7. Bill Guns Gaming 6.29, then 6.35 by the Scoop Phase. Shout out you guys. And this does have an enchanted rare as well. So if you want to play the highest rarity, you got to get the enchanted Basil. But cold foils, you know, non foils are obviously going to be like super cheap. These are only going to be about less than $1, 50 cents. There you go, $1.27 shipping. Pluto, the guard dog. This is a very powerful card coming out in this set. I think people need to respect this card and pay attention that this is going to be in a lot of steel decks. It's pretty strong in my opinion, and cold foils are selling for $3.56 with $1.27 shipping. Bill Guns has 3 of them for you, so you can hook you up with most of your playset right there. Main TCG Collect has 3 of them also. I like this card a lot, Zach. You're playing Amber Steel. You're an Amber Steel goon. How do you feel about Pluto in your deck?
I got 4 copies currently. I'm very much trying out this card. I think it's like perfect into the curve, from being honest. It's not a Chenpo 5 cost that can sing a whole new world, but then this one can just protect your singers right after you just sang the whole new world. And I think it's very good into certain decks. I think the mirror match is this one's gonna kind of like be a good difference maker because even though you're fighting for the board, like this one can kind of clear anything on one swing, and you have Rapunzel to heal it back up, which I think is still an insane play. So the card is good. It's a good time to consider picking up some cold foils when they're this low. We saw how much like Pete Games in the library went up to last time.
Yeah, P Games and Library and Tipo as well. Tipo was like 10. All those like were like $10. Library was like more like $7, $8, but still, like they literally went up to like $10 because of how popular and how like kind of needed they are in their decks, right, in their respective decks. So kind of like the way Sail the Azurite Sea is already moving. Moana Self-Taught Sailor. There's another common, great card in the set. It's a common. Only $1.37 right now for this card, but as you can see, no sellers have multiple ready to go except for Milton's Collectibles. So people smartened up with this card. They know that you got that they only listing one at a time. This is a very sought after card. I think this set. But that's going to be all that we have to talk about for this Market Watch. Azurite Sea is now available at your local game stores starting today, Friday, November 15th. My goons, be sure to support your local game stores. I know they appreciate it. We appreciate it when you come and support us, and we appreciate it also when you like, comment, and subscribe because it does support the channel. You can go to pristineprotectionccg.com to buy some sleeves. Use code Goons10 if you also want to support us. Like I was saying, I do think that a lot of these legendaries are a little bit not necessarily overhyped, but you know, it is the opening weekend, and I am curious to see where the prices are going to be on Monday and in 2 weeks when all these cards are released as well in like Target, Walmart, etc. So I expect prices to come down naturally the way they always do. A lot of the legendaries, in my opinion, are cards we're going to really have to test with before we really decide, like, are they relevant or are they necessary in our decks? Zach, anything you want to say before we call it a day on this wonderful Set 6 launch weekend?
Well, guys, thank you so much. If you're still with us at the end of this video, I really appreciate you. And drop a comment on which cards you are looking to pick up today because of the prices we've talked about. As always, guys, stay tuned to Lorcana Goons.
And we'll see you goons next time.